I'm making this video so that there can be a comprehensive author's guide to heaven. Think of this as the author's attempt to drive up hype for the series before, I end it all. You may be thinking, why should there be a comprehensive guide? Isn't there just 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 3 other side parts? Well, you're right, but there actually is an intended way you should consume the series. A way that I unfortunately haven't exactly made the most obvious. But whatever, because I'm not that important. There is actually a way you can chronologically consume the series, and that's starting with part Khonshu. This part introduces you to the world of heavenly hosts, the setting being the story of the Exodus. But rather than it being from the perspective of Moses, it's actually from the perspective of the Egyptian gods. What's important about this part is that it not only gives background for Khonshu, but it introduces the viewer to Archangel Michael and the special team that he's forming. Next up is part Loki, which more so serves as background for the character Loki rather than, full-on world building, but it is the first appearance in Heavenly Host of the Lord Jesus Christ. And I don't really think I need to explain why he's important. I mean, you guys know who Jesus is. Next is Abigail, who is probably the least interesting character in Heavenly Host. Through no fault of her own, she's just, a regular human being. This is the first appearance of Everett Smith. Only 3 parts in, we're finally introduced to the main character, a regular kid born in Anno Domini 1960. This part gives background for Abigail and Everett, chronicling their life together before and after their marriage, and then how Abby lives her life after the death of Everett. I'd also like to mention that Everett does give his side of the story in part 2. Now, I'm sure a lot of you would be like, well, now it's probably on to part 1. Actually, you'd be wrong, because there is extended universe content, link as always in the description, that does give a little bit more background information on Everett and Abby. But it also gives background on the main antagonist, Lucy. And yes, it's pronounced Lucy. Oh, and I neglected to mention there's actually 2 parts to this series.
Now what kind of question is that?
This series serves to basically show the politics of the world, how it views Everett, how it views his family, and Lucy's manipulation of everything. And the second part is really just an excuse to make a lot of Showbiz Pizza Place related stuff, because that's where Everett used to work before he died. All of this, and we're finally on to part 1 of That's right, part 1. We start with Everett on a plane landing in Jerusalem, Israel. He meets Lucy, and unbeknownst to him, Lucy actually knows who he is. She even addresses him as a superhero with super strength and stretchy powers. Later, Lucy takes him out for coffee, that way she can get to know him better, and this was before I established canonical backstory for Everett, so it's this awkward text bubble that just abruptly has ellipses in it for some reason. All you need to know is that he's establishing that he had a troubled childhood with his mother. Everett is then reported missing after 2 weeks, and this is where the video, Everett's Final Words, takes place. And from this point on, Everett is officially dead. He gets sent into hell, where he meets Satan, who sends him to the limbo of the fathers, which I've nicknamed Old Hell, and then he's rescued by Michael, ending part 1. Next is part 2, where he's taken to Purgatory, and he explains who he is to Michael, and by extension, the viewers. This is that Everett's part of the story that I was talking about earlier when talking about part Abigail. At this point in the story, everybody knows that Everett has died, and his family reacts with varying degrees of sadness. Abigail can't believe this happened, and his sister Alex starts praying for him, and we see this prayer rising up to Purgatory and entering Everett's heart. And it's at this point that everything erupts into flames, but he's rescued by the head principality of Purgatory and he's taken to Michael's group, and there's some familiar faces there, but one that we haven't touched on yet. On to part 3, where we skip forward to Christmas Eve of 1984. The flames die out and we see this new character giving Everett a Christmas present, which is from his mother who's in heaven. It's a mask and hoodie not too dissimilar to the one that he wore in life as a superhero, but embroidered on it is the cross of the heavenly host. And it's then that we learn this new character is actually Joan of Arc. Yes, the Joan of Arc. The rest of the part shows Everett and the rest of the group rescuing a kid named Max from Krampus on Christmas Eve, but they're somewhat unsuccessful and Max is actually taken to hell. But after splitting up, Everett actually encounters St. Nicholas, the Santa Claus, who ends up getting the finishing blow on Krampus. Michael goes into hell to rescue Max, ending part 3, and then picking up right after is part 4. Satan taunts Michael, and then Jesus shows up and taunts him, and then Lucy calls talking about how the politicians in Israel love her, while Jesus then threatens Satan with his fate in the future. We then jump 1 month later, and the rest of the part is really just a mini adventure with Everett and Michael helping out with an exorcism on Earth. They succeed in vanquishing Leviathan, who is the demon possessing the woman, and afterward, Joan meets up with them, where they go to rest at a nearby parish that's offering Eucharistic adoration. It's then Jesus makes himself known to Everett. He tells him that he's done great work, and that he is officially a knight of the heavenly host, and he's given the armor of God. After an inside joke between me and my brother Seminarian, Everett is then taken to heaven in a flashy sequence that should look familiar to you. We end off part 4 with Everett officially in heaven and Michael's team fully assembled together in one freaking awesome aura moment. And all that's left is the end. Thank you so much for watching. I know I didn't necessarily explain every single thing about the series in this video. I did not want this to be like a summary of the series. This video's purpose is supposed to just be a jumping off point. That way people can start to read the series and they have sort of background knowledge of what everything is, because while writing the series, I really didn't come up with the best world building at first, and I've had to retrospectively add world building in. Anyway, here's some amazing fan art by Twitter user R_811012. Her art is ridiculously amazing, and I'm so surprised that, given my simplistic art style, she was able to make them so much more beautiful than I could ever make, so thank you so much. This is Kate Abbey, signing out.